One bright and sunny morning in the enchanted forest, Twinkle the Unicorn and Rory the Lion were busy planning their next big adventure. Twinkle, with her sparkling mane and magical horn, loved flying through the sky, while Rory, with his mighty roar and golden fur, was always up for a new challenge. As they chatted, they noticed a giant hot air balloon floating just above the treetops. "Wow, look at that!" Twinkle exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. "I've never been in a hot air balloon before." Rory grinned, showing his sharp teeth in a friendly smile. "Me neither. Let's go for a ride and see where the wind takes us." With a leap and a flutter, Twinkle and Rory hopped into the basket of the hot air balloon. As the wind gently lifted them into the sky, they could see the entire enchanted forest beneath them, shimmering rivers, towering trees, and even the sparkling castle in the distance. "This is amazing," Twinkle said, spreading her wings to catch the breeze. "We can see everything from up here." Rory, always full of energy, leaned over the edge of the basket. "Let's have some fun. How about we spot shapes in the clouds?" Twinkle giggled. "Great idea." They both began pointing out clouds that looked like animals, castles, and even a giant ice cream cone. As they floated higher and higher, the wind suddenly changed direction, and the balloon started drifting toward a mountain range. Twinkle and Rory felt a twinge of excitement mixed with a little nervousness. "Uh-oh," Rory said, his ears twitching. "I think we might be heading into a storm." Twinkle, always calm under pressure, looked up at the darkening sky. "We need to stay positive and work together. We can do this, Rory." The wind howled as the balloon was tossed about, but Twinkle used her magic to create a protective bubble around the basket. Rory held on tight, his claws gripping the edge. "Rory," Twinkle said with determination, "I'll steer us through the storm, but I need you to be my lookout. Can you spot a safe place to land?" Rory nodded fiercely. "I'm on it!" With Twinkle guiding the balloon and Rory keeping watch, they braved the storm together. After what felt like hours, Rory spotted a calm, grassy meadow below. "Over there, Twinkle! We can land there!" he shouted over the wind. Twinkle concentrated hard, using her magic to gently lower the balloon into the meadow. As they touched down safely, the storm passed, and the sun peeked out from behind the clouds. They both let out a sigh of relief. "Phew! That was close," Rory said, shaking off the rain from his fur. Twinkle smiled at her brave friend. "We did it, Rory. We stayed calm, worked together, and made it through the storm." Rory grinned back. "Yeah, and I learned that even when things get a little scary, we can always find a way if we stick together." Twinkle nodded, her horn glowing softly. "Exactly. And now, we've got an amazing story to tell our friends." As they walked back through the meadow, they both felt proud of what they had accomplished. They had faced a challenge, had some fun, and learned that with friendship and teamwork, they could overcome anything. And so, Twinkle the Unicorn and Rory the Lion continued their adventures, knowing that no matter where the wind took them next, they could always count on each other. Once upon a time, in a magical land called Colorville, there lived a beautiful unicorn named Stella. Stella had a shiny white coat, a golden horn, and the most dazzling rainbow-colored mane. But the best thing about Stella was her special ability to create rainbows wherever she went. Stella loved to spread joy by using her horn to make rainbows. Kids, can you help Stella create a rainbow? Let's count to 3 together, and then you can wave your fingers like a magic wand. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Swish! Look at the rainbow you've helped create. How many colors can you see? There are red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Great job, everyone! One day, Stella heard about a mysterious place called the Colorless Forest. The forest was in trouble because it had lost all its colors, and everything had turned gray. Stella decided she would help bring the colors back. As Stella journeyed to the colorless forest, she met 3 friends along the way. The first was a friendly red bird named Ruby. The second was an orange fox named Ollie. And the third was a yellow butterfly named Sunny. Let's count Stella's friends together. 1, 2, 3. Great counting. Stella asked her friends, "Would you help me bring back the colors to the colorless forest?" They all agreed, eager to help. When they arrived at the colorless forest, Stella saw that it was as gray as a cloudy day. The trees, flowers, and even the animals had lost their colors. Stella's heart filled with sadness, but she knew they could fix it with the power of friendship and magic. Stella and her friends decided to bring back the colors, one by one. Kids, can you help us name and call out the colors to bring them back? First, they sprinkled red yas from Ruby's feathers on the apples in the trees. Can you say red? Next, they brushed orange from Ollie's fur onto the pumpkins. Say orange! Then, they dusted yellow from Sunny's wings onto the flowers. Say yellow! They continued with green, blue, indigo, and violet until the whole forest was vibrant and colorful again. With the forest full of color, the animals and plants came back to life, dancing and cheering. Stella's magic had worked, but she knew it was the help of her friends that made it all possible. Kids, can you guess what Stella learned? She learned that friendship and caring for one another can make the world a brighter place. Stella and her friends brought back the colors, and now they were closer than ever. The moral of Stella's adventure is that friendship and kindness can solve problems and bring happiness. Just like how they brought colors back to the forest, we can all make a difference by caring for others. As a thank you gift, the animals of the colorful forest threw a party for Stella and her friends. They danced under the rainbow, and everyone was happy. And whenever you see a rainbow in the sky, remember Stella and her friends and how they made the world a more colorful place with their love and kindness. Thank you for helping Stella on her adventure. Remember, you can always bring color and joy to the world with kindness and friendship. What was your favorite part of the story? In a faraway land, nestled between rolling hills and sparkling streams, there was a place called Rainbow Valley. This magical valley was filled with the brightest, most beautiful colors you could ever imagine. The sky was always a brilliant shade of blue. The flowers danced in every color of the rainbow, and the trees shimmered with golden leaves. But the most special thing about Rainbow Valley was that it was home to a family of unicorns. Among these unicorns was a baby unicorn named Sparkle. Sparkle was small and had the softest white fur that glistened in the sunlight. Her tiny horn sparkled like a diamond, but unlike the other unicorns, her horn had yet to glow with the magic that made unicorns so special. Every day, Sparkle watched her older brothers and sisters use their magic. They could make flowers bloom with a gentle touch of their horns, create rainbows that arched across the sky, and even make the stars twinkle at night. Sparkle longed for the day when she would get her magic too. One sunny morning, as Sparkle was exploring a meadow filled with flowers, she noticed something unusual. A group of small animals had gathered in a circle, looking worried. Curious, Sparkle trotted over to see what was happening. In the center of the circle was a little bird with a broken wing. The other animals were trying to help, but they didn't know what to do. Sparkle felt a warm feeling in her heart and knew she wanted to help the little bird too. Without thinking, she gently touched the bird with her tiny horn. Suddenly, a soft golden light began to glow from Sparkle's horn. The light surrounded the little bird, and to everyone's amazement, the bird's wing began to heal. Sparkle's horn shone brighter and brighter until it was glowing with the magic she had always dreamed of. the little bird fluttered its wings and flew into the sky, singing a joyful song. The other animals cheered, and Sparkle couldn't believe her eyes. Her magic had finally arrived. From that day on, Sparkle used her magic to help others. She made flowers bloom for bees to collect nectar, created rainbows to brighten up cloudy days, and even made the stars twinkle a little brighter at night. But more than anything, Sparkle knew that her magic was special because it came from her kind heart. And so, Rainbow Valley was even more beautiful with Sparkle's magical shine lighting up the land. The other unicorns were proud of her, and Sparkle was happy knowing that her magic was meant to bring joy and kindness to everyone around her. And whenever you see a bright star twinkling in the sky or a rainbow after the rain, remember that it might just be Sparkle the unicorn sharing her magical shine with the world. The end. Once upon a time, in the sparkling blue bay, lived a very special shark named Sharky. Unlike his scary-looking cousins, Sharky was as gentle as a dolphin. His most prized possession was his set of pearly white teeth, so shiny they could light up the darkest depths. And to protect his teeth, he wore a shimmery seaweed cape. Sharky was the ocean's toothbrushing champion. He would swim around, encouraging all the sea creatures to brush their teeth twice a day. But one sunny morning, something was terribly wrong. The usually clear blue water was murky green, and all the fish were hiding behind rocks. Sharky zoomed through the water, his heart pounding. What could be causing this mess? Suddenly, he spotted a slimy green eel named Plaque. Plaque was laughing as he threw sugary treats into the water. These treats were turning the water into a sticky green goop that was making everyone's teeth feel yucky. Sharky knew he had to stop Plaque. He called for his best friend, Flossy the fish, who carried a giant magical toothbrush and a tube of minty toothpaste. Together, they were the ocean's dental dream team. With a splash, Sharky and Flossy began their mission. Sharky scrubbed the coral reefs clean with his supersized toothbrush, while Flossie spread the minty toothpaste far and wide. Plaque tried to escape, but Sharky and Flossie were too quick. With a burst of bubbles, they chased him away. The ocean was clean again. The fish cheered, and their smiles were brighter than ever. Sharky reminded everyone, remember to brush twice a day and floss regularly, just like me. And so, the Blue Bay lived happily ever after, thanks to Sharky and Flossie. In a tiny, magical kingdom hidden within the walls of an ancient castle, there lived a brave and kind-hearted mouse named Princess Pippa. Princess Pippa was no ordinary mouse. She wore a tiny crown made of golden threads, and her soft fur was as white as snow. She ruled over the Mouse Kingdom with wisdom and courage, always ready to help her fellow mice with any problem they faced. One day, as Princess Pippa was exploring the far corners of her kingdom, she noticed a strange, glowing light coming from a dark, hidden tunnel. The light was faint but mysterious, flickering like a firefly. Curious and always ready for an adventure, Princess Pippa decided to investigate. As Princess Pippa ventured deeper into the tunnel, she came across a little beetle. The beetle was sitting on a small rock, looking sad and worried. He had shiny black wings and a tiny pair of antennae that drooped low. Princess Pippa approached the beetle with a gentle smile. "Hello, little beetle," she said kindly. "Why are you so sad?" The beetle looked up at her with big, teary eyes. "I'm Leo," he said softly. "I'm lost, and I can't find my way back home. The glow you see is from my wings, but they've lost their magic, and now I can't fly." Princess Pippa knew she had to help Leo find his way home and restore his magic. "Don't worry, Leo," she said. "We'll find your home together, and I'm sure we can bring back the magic in your wings." With Leo riding on her shoulder, Princess Pippa continued deeper into the tunnel. The glow from Leo's wings grew weaker, but Princess Pippa's courage never faltered. They faced twists and turns, and even a small stream to cross. But Princess Pippa led the way with determination. Finally, they reached the heart of the tunnel, where they found a large glowing stone embedded in the ground. The stone shimmered with all the colors of the rainbow, and its light filled the entire tunnel. "This is the Stone of Light," Leo whispered in awe. "It's the source of my magic, but I don't know how to activate it." Princess Pippa thought for a moment, then smiled. "Maybe all it needs is a little kindness and a brave heart," she said. She reached out and touched the stone gently, thinking of all the friends she had helped in the past and the courage it took to lead her kingdom. As Princess Pippa touched the stone, it began to glow even brighter. The light from the stone flowed into Leo's wings, making them shimmer and sparkle with magic once again. Leo flapped his wings and felt the magic return. He flew up into the air, his wings now glowing brightly. "Thank you, Princess Pippa," Leo exclaimed joyfully. "You've restored my magic, and now I can find my way home." Princess Pippa smiled, happy to have helped her new friend. "I'm glad I could help, Leo. Remember, bravery and kindness can solve almost any problem." Leo led Princess Pippa out of the tunnel, flying high above her to light the way. When they reached the end of the tunnel, Leo turned to Princess Pippa with a smile. "You've helped me so much, Princess Pippa. I'd like to be your friend forever." Princess Pippa beamed. "I'd love that, Leo. Friends forever." And so, Princess Pippa and Leo the Beetle returned to the Mouse Kingdom, where Leo became a beloved friend and protector of the kingdom, always ready to lend his magical light whenever it was needed. In the magical land of Everbright lived Draco, a dragon with sparkling scales that shone emerald green. Draco was known for his kind heart and love for all things shiny. One day, Draco received an urgent letter from his friends, Twinkle the Unicorn and Rory the Lion, who lived in Wonderwood. "Dear Draco," the letter read, "we need your help. The sparkling spring, which gives Wonderwood its creativity and inspiration, has stopped flowing. Without it, the forest's creativity will fade away. Can you help us solve this mystery? Your sparkly friend, Twinkle." Draco, curious and concerned, flew to Wonderwood. Upon arrival, he found Twinkle and Rory by the dry, sparkling spring. The once glowing waters were now a dull trickle. "The spring has stopped, and without it, all creativity in Wonderwood will disappear," Twinkle exclaimed. Rory added, "We need to figure out why and bring back the creativity." They decided to investigate by interviewing the forest creatures. First, they met Chuckles the Chipmunk. "I saw some bubbles yesterday, but I thought it was just the spring burping, like when Rory eats too much honey." Rory chuckled, "I do not burp that loudly." Next, they encountered Flicker the Firefly. "There was a mysterious fog yesterday morning," Flicker said, but it quickly disappeared. Draco thought, "Fog and bubbles. Maybe something's blocking the flow." They decided to check the spring. Draco used his dragon fire to gently warm the water, revealing a hidden tunnel beneath the spring bed, blocked by a large sparkling boulder. "That must be the problem," Twinkle exclaimed. Rory tried to push the boulder, but it was too heavy. "This is heavier than a mountain of marshmallows," Draco suggested they combine their efforts. Twinkle focused her energy, her horn glowing brighter, while Rory roared with all his might. Draco added a gentle burst of his dragon fire, and together, they managed to shift the boulder just enough to free the tunnel. As the boulder rolled aside, sparkling water gushed out, shimmering with inspiration and creativity. They all cheered as the water poured back into the sparkling spring, restoring its glow. Creativity spread through Wonderwood, making the flowers bloom in unique patterns and filling the air with new ideas. Suddenly, a small, grumpy troll named Grizzle emerged from the tunnel. "Who dares disturb my nap?" he grumbled. Draco laughed. "Grizzle, were you sleeping behind the boulder?" Grizzle nodded sheepishly. "Yes, I found it cozy, but I guess I accidentally blocked the water. Sorry about that." Twinkle giggled. "Grizzle, you might need a better pillow next time." Rory added, "Yeah, one that doesn't block an entire spring." Everyone laughed, including Grizzle, who promised to be more careful about where he napped. With the mystery solved and the creativity restored, Twinkle, Rory, and Draco celebrated with a big picnic by the now flowing, sparkling spring. They feasted on magical fruits and shared funny stories. Draco said with a smile, "This adventure taught us that even the smallest actions can have big consequences. And it's always best to work together to solve problems." Twinkle nodded, her eyes twinkling like stars. "And it's important to keep a sense of humor, even when things seem serious." Rory, munching on a honeycomb, added, "And never underestimate the power of friendship and a good laugh." As the sun set over Wonderwood, the friends sat by the sparkling waters, happy and content. They knew that together, they could solve any mystery and face any challenge as long as they had each other. And thus, Draco, the emerald green dragon, Twinkle the unicorn, and Rory the lion lived happily ever after, ready for their next creative adventure. In the heart of Wonderwood, Twinkle the unicorn and Rory the lion were preparing for the annual Moonstone Festival. The festival celebrated the magical moonstones that provided light and energy to their forest. Each year, the moonstones were gathered and placed in the Moonstone Fountain, creating a beautiful glow that lit up the forest. One sunny morning, Twinkle and Rory were given a special responsibility by Queen Luna, the wise cheetah who governed the forest. "Twinkle, Rory," Queen Luna said, her fur shimmering in the sunlight. "This year, you are in charge of collecting the moonstones and ensuring they are safely placed in the fountain." Twinkle's eyes sparkled with excitement. "We won't let you down, Queen Luna." Rory puffed out his chest proudly. "You can count on us." They set off with a magical map that showed the locations of the hidden moonstones. The map led them to their first destination, the Crystal Cavern. Inside, they found the first moonstone, glowing brightly among the crystals. Carefully, they placed it in their satchel and moved on to the next location. Their adventure took them through whispering woods, over the Rainbow Bridge, and across the singing river. Along the way, they collected moonstones and enjoyed their journey, feeling proud of their important task. As they reached the final location, the mysterious meadow, the sky began to darken. "Something doesn't feel right," Twinkle said, her horn glowing faintly in the dim light. Rory nodded, his mane bristling with concern. "We need to find the last moonstone quickly." In the center of the meadow stood a giant tree with a hollow trunk. The last moonstone was supposed to be inside. As they approached, they heard a faint, mischievous giggle. "Who's there?" Rory called out. A small, sprightly fairy named Glimmer appeared, fluttering her iridescent wings. "Looking for this?" she asked, holding up the final moonstone. "Yes, we need it for the Moonstone Festival," Twinkle explained. Glimmer's eyes twinkled with mischief. "I've hidden it somewhere in the meadow. If you want it, you'll have to find it before sunset. If not, the forest will stay dark." Twinkle and Rory glanced at each other, determined to complete their mission. They began searching the meadow, looking under flowers, behind rocks, and inside bushes. As the sun began to set, they felt a growing sense of urgency. "We have to be responsible and not give up," Twinkle said, her voice steady. Rory nodded. "Right. We promised Queen Luna we'd get the moonstones safely to the fountain." Just when they thought all hope was lost, Twinkle's horn began to glow brighter, guiding them to a small pond. Floating in the center was the final moonstone. "Quick, Rory!" Twinkle urged. Rory used his strong paws to gently retrieve the moonstone. With all the moonstones collected, they raced back to the moonstone fountain. Queen Luna and the forest creatures were waiting anxiously. "Did you find them?" Queen Luna asked. Twinkle and Rory proudly presented the moonstones. "We did, and we learned how important it is to be responsible," Rory said. Twinkle added, "Even when things got tough, we didn't give up." Queen Luna smiled warmly. "Well done, Twinkle and Rory. You've shown great responsibility and courage." As they placed the moonstones in the fountain, a magnificent light filled the forest, illuminating everything in a beautiful glow. The forest creatures cheered, and the Moonstone Festival began in full swing. Twinkle and Rory danced and celebrated with their friends, knowing they had not only completed their task, but also learned the true value of responsibility. They had faced challenges, worked together, and ensured Wonderwood remained bright and magical. And so, the Moonstone Festival was a huge success, and Wonderwood remained a place of wonder and light, thanks to Twinkle the Unicorn and Rory the Lion. In the quirky little town of Topsy-Turvyville, where houses stood on their roofs and trees grew upside down, there lived a goose named Giggles. Giggles wasn't your ordinary goose. He had a knack for telling the funniest, silliest, and most side-splitting jokes. His beak was always curved into a cheerful smile, and his feathers were as white as a fluffy cloud on a summer day. Every morning, Giggles would waddle out of his little topsy-turvy house, ready to bring laughter to every corner of the town. He'd honk, honk, honk. Who's ready for a giggle? One bright and sunny day, Giggles decided to embark on a special adventure. He had heard that Mayor Muddle, the mayor of Topsy-Turvyville, was feeling a bit blue. No one had seen him smile in days, and that just wouldn't do in such a silly town. Giggles knew exactly what he had to do. He would make Mayor Muddle laugh. With a spring in his step, Giggles set off to the town square, where he found a group of children playing hopscotch in the air. Because in Topsy-Turvyville, even hopscotch defied gravity. "Hey kids, what do you call a goose who loves jokes?" Giggles asked, his eyes twinkling. The children shrugged, giggling already. "A silly goose," Giggles honked, and the children burst into laughter, falling into a pile of giggles on the ground. Giggles continued on his way, telling jokes to everyone he met. He told Mr. Twizzle, the upside-down baker, "Why did the cookie go to the doctor? Because it felt crummy." Mr. Twizzle laughed so hard, he accidentally baked a pie upside down. Giggles then waddled over to the town's musician, Fiddle the Cat, who was strumming his fiddle in a tree. "Why don't cats play poker in the jungle?" Giggles asked. Fiddle tilted his head, curious. "Why?" "Too many cheetahs." Giggles honked, and Fiddle nearly fell out of the tree, laughing so much that he played the happiest tune Topsy-Turvyville had ever heard. Finally, Giggles reached the mayor's office. Mayor Muddle was sitting at his desk, looking as gloomy as a rainy day in the middle of a circus parade. Giggles knocked on the door, then honked loudly. "Knock, knock." Mayor Muddle raised an eyebrow. "Who's there?" "Goose," Giggles replied. "Goose who?" the mayor asked, a small smile starting to form. "Goose who loves making you laugh, Mr. Mayor." Giggles honked, and before Mayor Muddle could respond, Giggles continued with another joke. "Why did the goose sit on the clock?" Mayor Muddle was intrigued. "Why?" "Because it wanted to be on time, but it couldn't stop quacking up," Giggles said with a wink. Mayor Muddle couldn't hold it in any longer. He burst into laughter, his hearty chuckles filling the office and echoing through the town square. "Well, Giggles," Mayor Muddle said, wiping a tear from his eye, "you've done it. You've made me laugh harder than I've laughed in years. Topsy-Turvyville needs more Giggles like you." Giggles felt his chest puff up with pride. Honk! Honk! My pleasure, Mr. Mayor. From that day on, Giggles the Goose became the official jester of Topsy-Turvyville. Every week, he'd perform in the town square, telling jokes that had everyone from kids to grown-ups giggling and guffawing. And so, in the topsy-turvy town where nothing was quite as it seemed, there was always one thing you could count on. Giggles the Goose would be there, making sure everyone was quacking up with laughter, no matter what. The end. One bright and sunny morning in the enchanted forest, Rory the lion and Twinkle the unicorn were enjoying their breakfast of magical fruit and honeydew when they heard a peculiar sound. Or rather, the lack of a peculiar sound. The forest was unusually quiet. "Twinkle," Rory said, his mane fluffing up in worry. "Do you notice something missing?" Twinkle's sparkly horn glimmered as she tilted her head in confusion. "Yes, Rory. It's the giggles. The forest is usually filled with laughter and joy, but today, it's eerily silent." Determined to solve the mystery, Rory and Twinkle set off on an adventure. Their first stop was the Giggle Grove, the usual hotspot for laughter and cheer. When they arrived, they found only somber faces and drooping flowers. Rory approached the usually chipper, bushy-tailed squirrel Nutty. "Nutty, what happened to all the giggles?" Nutty sighed. "Oh, Rory, it's terrible. The giggle juice fountain has stopped flowing. Without it, no one can laugh." Twinkle gasped. "The giggle juice fountain? That's the heart of our forest's joy. We must find out what happened." Their first clue came from an old turtle named Shelley, who mentioned seeing something strange near the fountain the night before. "It was a shadowy figure," Shelley said slowly. "I couldn't make out who or what it was." With this new lead, Rory and Twinkle headed towards the fountain. Along the way, they stumbled upon Fidget the fox, who was pacing anxiously. "Fidget, what's wrong?" asked Twinkle, her voice gentle. Fidget sighed. "I'm so worried, Twinkle. I haven't felt this anxious in ages. I saw the shadow too, but I was too scared to follow it." Rory patted Fidget on the back. "We'll figure this out together. Facing our fears is the first step." As they reached the Giggle Juice fountain, they saw that the fountain's tap was tightly shut. Attached was a note that read, "No more laughter until the Great Grump is happy." "Who's the Great Grump?" Twinkle wondered aloud. "Only one way to find out," Rory said with determination. "We need to find him and cheer him up." After a few hours of searching, they found a small cave marked Grump's Grotto. Inside, they found a gloomy hedgehog named Grumpus, surrounded by wilted flowers and dim lights. "Why so glum, Grumpus?" Rory asked kindly. Grumpus sighed deeply. "I've lost my favorite joke book. Without it, I can't laugh or make anyone else laugh." Twinkle's eyes lit up. "A missing joke book? That's a mystery we can solve. Do you remember where you last had it?" Grumpus thought for a moment. "I was in the Meadow of Mirth. I think I might have dropped it there." Off they went to the Meadow of Mirth, where they searched high and low. After much giggling and playful searching, Twinkle finally spotted the book stuck in a tree branch. "Here it is," Twinkle called out, using her magic to retrieve it. Grumpus's face lit up as he took the book. "Oh, thank you. Thank you so much." He flipped through the pages and read aloud a joke. Why did the unicorn and the lion go to school? Because they wanted to improve their roaring and sparkling skills. The punchline was so hilarious that Grumpus, Rory, Twinkle, and even Fidget, who had followed them, burst into uncontrollable laughter. As they laughed, the Giggle Juice fountain magically started flowing again, filling the forest with joy and cheer once more. Back at the Giggle Grove, Nutty and the other animals were laughing and playing, their spirits lifted. Grumpus approached Rory and Twinkle. "Thank you for helping me find my joke book and my laughter. I've learned that it's okay to ask for help when you're feeling down. Rory smiled. We all feel down sometimes, Grumpus. What matters is how we deal with it together. Twinkle added, and laughter's the best medicine. The friends spent the rest of the day in the forest, sharing jokes, enjoying each other's company, and appreciating the joy they brought back to their enchanted home. The mystery was solved. Their spirits were high, and the enchanted forest was filled with giggles once again. Under a big blue sky, a tiny ant named Annie was bragging to anyone who would listen. "I'm the tallest animal around," she declared, standing on the tip of her tippy toes. A nearby ladybug named Lenny overheard and chuckled. "Annie, I think you're mistaken. I'm much taller than you." Lenny stretched his little red legs as high as they could go, feeling very proud. But before Lenny could celebrate, along hopped a grasshopper named Greta. She grinned and said, "Oh, come on. I can jump over you both in one leap. I must be the tallest." She hopped into the air to show off her height, feeling like she had surely won. Watching from a nearby bush, a small mouse named Milo scurried out. "Not so fast. Look at me." Milo stood on his hind legs and reached up with his tiny paws. "I'm taller than all of you." But Milo's triumph was short-lived because out strutted a rabbit named Robbie. He stretched his long ears high into the sky and said, "With my ears, I'm definitely the tallest. See?" Just then, a curious fox named Fiona slinked out of the trees. "Tall? You call that tall? Watch this." Fiona stood on her hind legs, lifting her nose as high as it could go, feeling certain she was the winner. But Fiona's claim was challenged by a sneaky raccoon named Ricky, who climbed up a tree and called down, "Ha! I'm taller because I can climb higher." Not to be outdone, a deer named Daisy pranced over and said, "I don't need a tree. Look how high I can reach with my antlers." She stretched her neck and antlers toward the sky. As the animals argued, a giraffe named Gerald wandered by. He looked down at all the squabbling animals and said with a smirk, "You're all very cute, but look at me." Gerald stretched his long neck even further, and the other animals stared in awe. But just when it seemed Gerald was unbeatable, a towering elephant named Ellie stomped over. "Height, you say? Watch this." Ellie raised her trunk high above her head, her giant feet making the ground tremble. "Now who's the tallest?" The animals were all impressed until a large tree named Tim, who had been listening the whole time, spoke up in a deep, booming voice. "Well, well, well. What do we have here? A contest for height? I think I win." Tim stretched his branches up into the sky, towering above everyone. Just then, a small bird named Bella flew down from the top of Tim's branches and chirped, "Actually, I'm the tallest because I can fly higher than any of you can reach." All the animals stopped and looked at Bella, who was happily soaring above them, touching the clouds. Suddenly, everyone realized something important. Each of them was unique in their own way. Annie the ant smiled and said, "Maybe being tall isn't what makes us special. We're all different sizes, but that's what makes us all amazing." Lenny the ladybug nodded. "Yeah, being short means I can hide in tiny places." Greta the grasshopper agreed. "And I can jump super high." Milo the mouse added, "And I can squeeze through the smallest spaces." Robbie the rabbit twitched his nose. "My ears help me hear everything around me." Fiona the fox wagged her tail. "And I'm quick and clever." Ricky the raccoon grinned. "I'm great at climbing." Daisy the deer pranced happily. "And I can run fast." Gerald the giraffe smiled down. "And I can see far into the distance." Ellie the elephant trumpeted. "And I'm strong enough to knock down trees." Tim the tree chuckled. "And I give shade and shelter to all of you." Bella the bird swooped down and chirped. "And I can fly wherever I want to go." the animals all laughed together, realizing that being the tallest wasn't the most important thing. What mattered was that they were all special in their own way. And together, they made the meadow a wonderful place to be. And from that day on, they decided that instead of arguing about who was the tallest, they would celebrate what made each of them unique, knowing that being different was what made them all great friends. In the heart of the jungle, where the trees touched the sky and the rivers sparkled like diamonds, there lived an elephant named Ellie. Ellie was the largest and strongest of all the animals in the jungle. Her trunk could reach the highest branches, and her mighty footsteps could be heard from far away. But despite her size and strength, Ellie often felt lonely. She watched the other animals play together and wished she had a friend. Not too far away, in the tallest tree of the jungle, lived an orangutan named Ollie. Ollie was quick and clever. He could swing from branch to branch faster than the wind and was always full of energy. But Ollie, too, felt lonely. He watched the other animals on the ground and wished he had someone to share his adventures with. One sunny day, as Ellie was walking near the river, she heard a cry for help. She looked up and saw Ollie dangling from a branch, struggling to reach a bunch of ripe bananas. The branch was too thin and ready to snap. Without thinking twice, Ellie stretched her long trunk toward the bananas and gently pulled them down. She then handed them to Ollie, who gratefully took them. "Thank you, Ellie. I didn't know how I was going to reach those," Ollie said, smiling. Ellie smiled back, happy to have helped. "You're welcome, Ollie. I always see you swinging through the trees. You're so brave." "And you're so strong," Ollie said. "I wish I could be as powerful as you." Ellie looked at her large feet, and then at Ollie's nimble hands. "But you're so good at climbing and swinging. I wish I could be as agile as you." They both paused and thought about what the other had said. "Maybe," Ollie said, "we can help each other. I can teach you how to be quick and nimble, and you can teach me how to be strong and steady." Ellie's eyes lit up. That sounds like a great idea. From that day on, Ellie and Ollie became the best of friends. Ollie showed Ellie how to move gracefully through the thick jungle without making too much noise. He taught her how to be patient and quick, like when she used her trunk to pluck fruit from the trees without disturbing the leaves. In return, Ellie helped Ollie with his strength. She showed him how to push heavy branches aside to find hidden paths in the jungle, and how to use his legs to stand firm when the winds blew strongly through the trees. One day, a great storm came to the jungle. The winds howled, and the rain poured down like never before. The smaller animals were frightened, and many of them were stuck in the rising river. Without hesitation, Ellie and Ollie worked together. Ellie used her strength to pull the animals to safety, while Ollie, with his agility, guided them to higher ground, hopping quickly from tree to tree. After the storm passed, all the animals of the jungle gathered to thank Ellie and Ollie. They had shown everyone that even though they were different, by working together and appreciating each other's strengths, they could achieve something great. Ellie and Ollie looked at each other and smiled. They knew that their unlikely friendship had made them both better and stronger. Remember, kids, true friendship isn't about being the same. It's about appreciating each other's differences and helping one another grow. When we work together and support each other, we can overcome any challenge. Deep in the heart of the jungle, there lived a big, strong tiger named Toby. Toby was the most powerful animal in the jungle, with his orange fur striped with black and his fierce, glowing eyes. But despite his strength, Toby was a gentle soul who loved to spend his days wandering through the jungle, enjoying the sunshine and listening to the birds sing. One day, as Toby was strolling through the jungle, he stepped on something sharp. "Ouch!" he roared in pain, lifting his big paw to see what had happened. There, stuck in the soft pad of his paw, was a long, sharp thorn. Toby tried to pull the thorn out himself, but his paws were too big, and every time he touched it, the pain grew worse. "I need help," Toby thought. But when he looked around, he realized that all the animals had run away. They were scared of the big, fierce tiger, even though Toby would never hurt them. First, Toby saw a group of monkeys swinging in the trees. "Please, can you help me?" Toby called up to them, but the monkeys were too frightened. They chattered nervously and swung higher up into the trees, far away from Toby. Next, Toby saw a colorful parrot sitting on a branch. "Parrot, could you help me, please?" Toby asked, trying to keep his voice calm. But the parrot squawked in fear and flew off into the sky, leaving Toby all alone. Toby felt sad. He didn't want to scare the other animals, but he was in so much pain. As he wandered deeper into the jungle, his paw hurt more and more, and he didn't know what to do. Just when Toby thought he would never find help, he heard a tiny voice. "Excuse me, Mr. Tiger, do you need help?" Toby looked down and saw a little mouse standing bravely in front of him. "Yes," Toby replied softly, trying not to frighten the mouse. "I have a thorn stuck in my paw, and it hurts very much. But I'm afraid to ask for help because everyone is scared of me." The little mouse, whose name was Max, looked at Toby's paw and saw the thorn. "Don't worry, Mr. Tiger," Max said kindly. "I can help you." Toby was surprised. "You're not scared of me?" Max shook his head. "No, Mr. Tiger. I know you're kind and just need help." With that, Max climbed up onto Toby's paw. He was so small that he could easily see the thorn. "Hold still," Max said, as he carefully grabbed the thorn with his tiny paws. With one quick tug, Max pulled the thorn out of Toby's paw. "There you go!" Max said proudly. Toby felt a huge wave of relief as the pain disappeared. "Thank you so much, little mouse," Toby said with a grateful smile. "You saved me," Max smiled back. "It was nothing, Mr. Tiger. Sometimes the smallest creatures can help the biggest ones." Toby was so grateful to Max that he offered to be his friend. "Would you like to be my friend, Max? We could explore the jungle together." Max's eyes lit up with excitement. "I'd love to be your friend, Mr. Tiger." From that day on, Toby and Max became the best of friends. They would wander through the jungle together, with Toby keeping Max safe, and Max helping Toby with his keen eyes and clever ways. The other animals soon realized that Toby wasn't scary at all, and they all learned a valuable lesson. Just because someone is big and strong doesn't mean they don't need help sometimes. And so, the jungle was a happier place, with Toby and Max showing everyone that friendship and kindness could bring even the most unlikely of creatures together. In a lush, sunlit forest far away, there was a vibrant, bustling world where animals of all kinds lived happily together. Among them was Kip, a spirited young kangaroo with a spring in his step and a heart full of adventure. Kip loved to hop around, explore new places, and make friends. But no matter how much he tried, there was one animal he could never seem to find, his very own friend. In a quiet corner of the forest lived Kiki, a small brown kiwi with a gentle heart and a shy demeanor. Kiki spent most of her time alone, wandering through the undergrowth in search of worms and insects. While Kiki enjoyed her own company, she often wished for a friend to share her little discoveries and adventures with. One sunny morning, Kip was hopping around, excited to discover a new patch of wildflowers. As he bounced along, he heard a soft, melancholy chirp coming from the bushes. Curious, Kip followed the sound and found Kiki, who was feeling quite down because she had just lost her favorite pebble. "Hi there," Kip said cheerfully. "I'm Kip. What's wrong?" Kiki looked up, startled by the sudden company. "Oh, hello. I'm Kiki. I lost my pebble, and I can't find it anywhere." Kip's eyes sparkled with determination. "Don't worry, I'll help you find it." And with that, Kip began searching high and low, his long legs making it easy to cover lots of ground. Kiki watched in awe as Kip hopped around, scanning every nook and cranny. His enthusiasm and kindness were unlike anything she had ever experienced. Together, they searched until Kip spotted the pebble glistening under a pile of leaves. "There it is!" Kip exclaimed, bouncing over to retrieve it. Kiki's eyes lit up with joy. "Thank you so much, Kip. You're very kind," Kiki said, her shyness melting away in the warmth of Kip's friendship. From that day on, Kip and Kiki became inseparable. They went on adventures together, discovering new parts of the forest and learning from each other. Kip taught Kiki how to hop gracefully through the grass, and Kiki showed Kip the best spots to find delicious insects. Though they were different in many ways, Kip was tall and bouncy, while Kiki was small and walked on the ground. Their differences only made their friendship more special. Kip admired Kiki's ability to see the tiny wonders of the forest, while Kiki loved Kip's boundless energy and eagerness to explore. One day, as they sat together watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and pink, Kip said, "You know, Kiki, I used to think I needed a friend who was just like me. But now I realize that our differences make our friendship even better." Kiki nodded, her beak curved into a smile. "I used to think I'd never find a friend because I was so different. But I've learned that what matters most is not how similar we are, but how much we care for each other." And so, Kip and Kiki's friendship grew stronger with each passing day. They learned that being different was not something to be afraid of, but something to celebrate. They became as close as brothers, showing everyone in the forest that friendship was not about being the same, but about loving and supporting each other no matter what. And in that magical forest, where the sun always seemed to shine a little brighter and the stars twinkled just a bit more warmly, Kip the kangaroo and Kiki the kiwi proved that true friendship knows no bounds and that differences make the world a richer, more beautiful place. In a lush, prehistoric jungle, there lived a curious young dinosaur named Dino. Dino was no ordinary dinosaur. He had a bright green hide, a tail that swished with excitement, and an insatiable curiosity about the world beyond his own. While most dinosaurs were content roaming the earth, Dino had his eyes set on the stars. Every night, he would gaze up at the twinkling lights in the sky and wonder what it would be like to explore space. One day, while wandering near a bubbling volcano, Dino stumbled upon a strange, shiny object partially buried in the ground. It was a mysterious metal contraption with buttons, levers, and a big, round window. Dino's heart raced with excitement. This was no ordinary rock or fossil. This was a spaceship. With a determined glint in his eye, Dino began to explore the spaceship. He pressed a big red button, and to his surprise, the door whooshed open, revealing a cozy interior filled with blinking lights and a comfy seat. Dino squeezed inside, his tail barely fitting through the door, and with a deep breath, he pulled the lever labeled Launch. The ground beneath the spaceship rumbled, and with a powerful roar, it shot up into the sky. Dino watched in awe as the trees, mountains, and rivers of his home grew smaller and smaller until they disappeared altogether. He was soaring through the sky, breaking through the clouds, and heading straight for the stars. As Dino's spaceship zoomed past the moon, he marveled at the craters and the glowing surface. He waved at the moon and imagined what it would be like to bounce around in the low gravity. But there was no time to stop. Dino had bigger adventures ahead. Soon, Dino found himself approaching a colorful planet with swirling rings and bright, shimmering clouds. It was Saturn. The rings sparkled like a giant cosmic hula hoop. Dino carefully steered his spaceship closer and decided to take a little detour. He zoomed around the rings, laughing as he did loop-de-loops and twirls. It was the most fun he had ever had. But Dino's adventure didn't stop there. He set his sights on the farthest reaches of the solar system, where he encountered a small, icy world, Pluto. The tiny planet was cold, but its surface glittered like a field of diamonds. Dino hopped out of his spaceship and made a snow dino, leaving a trail of Dino prints in the frosty ground. As Dino prepared to return home, he noticed something strange, a group of twinkling stars forming a shape in the sky. It looked like a dinosaur. Dino realized it was a constellation, and he smiled proudly, knowing that even in the vastness of space, there was a little piece of him among the stars. With a satisfied sigh, Dino climbed back into his spaceship and set course for Earth. The journey home was peaceful, and Dino couldn't help but feel a sense of accomplishment. He had traveled to the stars, danced around Saturn's rings, and made his mark on Pluto. But most importantly, he had followed his dreams. When Dino's spaceship landed back in the prehistoric jungle, the other dinosaurs gathered around, eager to hear about his adventures. Dino told them all about the wonders of space, and from that day on, he was known as Dino, the space explorer. And every night, as Dino looked up at the stars, he knew that out there in the vast universe, there was always another adventure waiting for him. Max was an ordinary golden retriever, living in a small, cozy house with his best friend, Emma. Every day, Max would fetch the newspaper, play in the park, and curl up by the fireplace. He loved his life, but little did he know, Max was no ordinary dog. One sunny morning, as Max and Emma were playing fetch in the park, something unusual happened. Max was chasing after his favorite red ball when it suddenly rolled into the bushes. He pushed his way through the leaves and found not just his ball, but a shiny, strange-looking collar. It was silver, with a bright blue gem in the center, unlike anything Max had ever seen. Curious, Max nudged the collar with his nose, and as soon as he touched it, a flash of light surrounded him. Max jumped back, startled. The collar floated in the air and then gently wrapped itself around Max's neck. As soon as it clicked into place, Max felt a surge of energy. His fur tingled, his senses sharpened, and suddenly he felt different, stronger, faster, and somehow super. Max barked excitedly and dashed back to Emma. She was surprised to see him running faster than ever, leaping over the bushes in a single bound. "Max, how did you do that?" Emma exclaimed. Max didn't know how to explain, but he knew something amazing had just happened. That evening, as Emma slept, Max decided to explore his newfound powers. He sneaked out of the house and raced to the park. To his surprise, he found that he could run faster than a speeding car, see in the dark, and even jump as high as the trees. Max was amazed. He was a superhero. As Max was testing his powers, he heard a faint cry for help. His sharp ears perked up, and he followed the sound to the edge of the park. There, he saw a little kitten stuck high up in a tree, too scared to climb down. Without thinking, Max leaped into action. He soared through the air, gently caught the kitten in his mouth, and landed safely on the ground. The kitten meowed in gratitude, and Max felt a warm glow in his heart. He realized that his powers were meant for more than just fun. They were meant to help others. The next day, Max decided to use his powers to protect the town. He began patrolling the streets at night, looking for anyone in need. He helped an old lady cross the street, guided lost pets back to their homes, and even stopped a bike thief by chasing him down and barking until he dropped the bike and ran away. Word quickly spread about the mysterious superhero dog who was keeping the town safe. People started calling him Super Max, and although they never saw him, they knew he was always there when they needed him. One day, a huge storm hit the town. The winds howled, the rain poured, and the river began to flood. Max knew this was his biggest challenge yet. He rushed to the riverbank and saw that the water was rising fast. If it overflowed, it would flood the entire town. Max thought quickly. He needed to stop the water. But how? Then he remembered his super speed. Max raced along the riverbank, digging a trench with his powerful paws to divert the water away from the town. He worked tirelessly, his fur soaked, but he didn't give up. Finally, the water began to flow into the trench, and the town was saved. When the storm passed, the townspeople emerged from their homes to find that the flood had been averted. They didn't know how, but they had a feeling that Super Max had something to do with it. That night, Max returned home exhausted but happy. He curled up by the fireplace, his collar glowing softly in the dim light. Emma stroked his fur and smiled. "You're a hero, Max," she whispered. Max closed his eyes, knowing that he had found his true purpose. He wasn't just a dog. He was a superhero, and as long as he had his powers, he would always be there to protect the ones he loved. And so, Max's adventures as Super Max continued, each day bringing a new challenge, a new friend, and a new way to help those in need. Because being a superhero wasn't just about having powers, it was about having a heart as big as Max's.